Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to ask the question, is the bloodbath over, or is there more downside to come? Because we don't want to be buying a dip that just keeps dipping. But we're going to jump into the charts and the news in just a moment. Before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people, and of course does help to support the channel. And of course, love your kind words that you always leave, so many of you every day in the comment section. Thank you so much. You take the time to write it, I take the time to read it and respond. And of course, any questions that you have in the comment section, I do get back to those as soon as I'm able to. However, if you'd like more immediate engagement and interaction, you can find me in the Discord. And of course, how do you find that? How do you locate that? So glad you asked. Just below in the description here, you can click out the more button. That'll pop out the description. The Stocks with Josh Discord is right up the top there. And I have the Tribal Trades Discord, which is closed at the moment. We will be reopening it for a short time. So if you'd like to get on the Tribal Trades Discord, you can. There's an email address also below in the description. You can email me and you can get onto that wait list. So you'll be one of the first ones to gain access when it does open up again this year. Now, the Stocks with Josh Discord, I have a Crown Traders channel in there where I offer education, insights, resources, some trade setups, and of course, entertainment, because I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is for education and entertainment purposes only. Are you not entertained? And so how could this crypto market not entertain? The volatility on it lately has been pretty wild. All right, so let's look at a few things. First of all, is the bloodbath over? And I'm going to answer this. A few different options that I see playing out, and the one that I think is the most likely. Here we have one. It seems as though February is going to close red. Now, look, there's still a chance. You know, Bitcoin just went down $10,000 in 2 days. If it went up $10,000 in 2 days, obviously, it would need to go up maybe quite a bit more than that. Of course, we'd need another push of another 4,000 or 5,000 to get over and get to that $103,000 level. Now, I think we can look at this and say it's more likely that Bitcoin does close the month red. And it has happened before, both in 2020 and in 2014, okay? And so looking at that, we can say, okay, what happened the month after? Every time there was, and there's only been 2 occasions, there's not a whole lot of data, so hold your horses. It has then closed March red also, on one occasion much worse, on one occasion a little bit better. And so if we did see a red March, of course, in 2014, there was a small little April red, although 3 out of the last 4 Aprils have been red. But my expectation would be if we do get a February red, that it's quite possible that we do also get a red March as well, unfortunately. And then maybe we see a green or slightly red. I mean, if you look down here, it was slightly red. I mean, minus 1.6, and that's the close price. So slightly red April. And of course, then we get into the sell in May and go away. So are we in some kind of a prolonged reaccumulation, hopefully not distribution, where we go into a bear market from here and we've hit the bear market early? It's quite possible. One of the scenarios that could play out, obviously, we could have a nice bounce and have a nice green March and green April, and then the sell in May and go away, and then come back in July to fly. July, and then the bull market finishes sometime around here. I originally marked September as that time, but maybe it gets triggered early in August there. But I think that it's tough because now people have lost a little bit of trust in the market because February has generally been green. and as has January, and January was slightly green, although it wasn't heavily green in 2024. And so a lot of people I know have exited the market, even some people left in the comments, it's just too much for them and they exit the market, and I totally understand that. So that is certainly one of the things that could happen. The second thing that happen is we just go straight now into a bear market. We could also just come in March, April, and May, be all green, and then we have a red June, and then we finish off, or we get some kind of a combination. Now, one of the things that I had shared, and I'll put to this right now, is the spot Bitcoin ETFs are nearing record daily outflows, and the BlackRock data is not even in. Now, if you recall, I gave this warning to everybody regarding the timing of when the first Bitcoin ETFs were available for trading, which was January. And then we saw a lot of heavy inflow January, February, March. I'll tell you why. Because the capital gains tax. People had to hold on to this Bitcoin ETF for 12 months and avoid selling to avoid the capital gain tax. And I did tell everybody that I saw a possible bloodbath in January and February time when the first buyers of the Bitcoin ETF were able to take profit on it and avoid the capital gains tax. So many of those who bought Bitcoin back in January of 2024, when the Bitcoin ETFs came out, they would have been able to, a year ago, if we look back a year ago, and we can look into what the price was in January 2024. And so you see here, roughly it was around 42,000. So you imagine buying at 42,000, and now you're up at 100,000, 109,000 in January. You have got massive appreciation. Now, for the first time since you bought that Bitcoin ETF, you can sell it without realizing capital gains tax. Now, I know some people may have some kind of company structure or whatever, avoid it anyway, but I'm talking about most people out there. And so now we have a situation where we get to, it's not really until March, the first week and a bit of March, that really the price of Bitcoin is up at 73,000, and then it goes down for a while. So we have to consider that this, what I have said, has come to pass. Because I did say, and I've said many times over the last, since I started this channel in May of 2024, consistently over the last 6, 7, 8 months that this channel has been going, had said this was something that the markets hadn't had to experience before and we haven't seen before. And guess what goes and happens? We now look like we're going to see a red February for the first time in a post-halving year, for the first time. And so that would be something different. But we also saw a new all-time high for the first time before the halving. And so it wouldn't be the first time that Bitcoin's done something for the first time, of course. And when we look at the November election low in November has never been reached. You go back and look at the low of the election week of every year of 2020, 2016, 2012, whatever low that was of the election week, that's never ever, Bitcoin's never gone below that. Now that's 66,800 or around that price. Do you think the bloodbath is over? It may not be over, as these ETF buyers have been panic selling the Bitcoin and avoiding capital gains tax. So when could we possibly see the selling diminish a little bit? Possibly we might get a little bit of relief in March, because March, the price of Bitcoin was 73K. Now, depending on what the price of Bitcoin is in come March, let's see, we drop a little bit further, and we'll look at the charts in a moment. Those that bought it may not be as excited to exit when they realize, oh, you know, I'm not going to get capital gains tax, but I'm not going to get a whole lot of profit. I might just hold on to this. Or maybe they will panic sell even more if the price is lower. But certainly at some point, it would be an interesting metric to see what is the average cost basis of an ETF holder. And so I think that, coupled with obviously the Libra rug pull where 4 billion was marked out, the whole meme coin casino where we had a lot of bad actors flood into the market in January. They were starting to flood in December, And I got some red flags there, and I shared very publicly here in January a video that I was getting out of pretty much all my meme coins and high-risk coins, and I hope some people manage to do the same and get out of those. And also, of course, we've had the situation with huge amount of liquidations. We have the Bybit hack. All that money is just getting taken out of the markets, and that money is not available. You add that to inflation on the rise, so there's no quantitative easing. The federal government's not pumping money like we've seen in past bull markets, although we have seen the money supply increase, okay? And let's find that over here. If we go over and look, and we see that, well, actually here you can see that after a sharp sell-off, long-term holders have accumulated over 20,000 Bitcoin. So if you were panic selling your Bitcoin, the long-term holders were accumulating. We do see that the global liquidity, the good news, that was the bottom. Now we go up, because usually Bitcoin does follow the global liquidity, and now we're starting to see global liquidity come up. It's usually a bit of a lagging indicator there. So this is something that's very interesting. As you can see it here, the global M2, that has a 3-month lead basically. So Bitcoin following that down, and then according to this analyst, because global liquidity has gone up, we're going to see eventually Bitcoin may have a little bit further down to go. And I do think Bitcoin possibly does go down a little bit further there. You can see that exchange inflows hit year-to-date peak as people rush to sell Bitcoin below it broke 90K. And you know that the long-term holders were scooping up that Bitcoin. The Wall Street cheat sheet psychology of a market cycle. This anger, depression, it feels like it's been a lot like that. And if we look at the Bitcoin price here, here's some things that I said yesterday morning, and it played out almost exactly, because I said once we lost that 90K region, that I felt a drop to the 200 EMA on the daily would be something that I would see happening. Now, we saw a little bit of a V-shaped recovery, dead cat bounce maybe. The one good news is that we did close above, one of those Fibonacci levels there. We're above right now, this 88,000. We really need to hold this. This is the final line. When I came 2 days ago, I did a video, the line in the sand. Where do we need to hold? These were the areas that I identified here, this 90,000 region. And look, coming below here and having a deviation below. So we established the low of the range that we've been trading in for the best part of 3 months. So from mid-November to mid-February, Bitcoin has mostly been in the 90,000 to 100,000 range, okay? Now what we've got is we're outside of that range. But remember, we saw this a few times when Bitcoin went outside of the 100K region, and we got up to 108, and then we had 109, another little deviation when it came, when we deviated out there, and there was this other one, 108. We had a small deviation there, and then a small deviation there. But for the most part, for over 2 months of the last 3 months, we've been in that range. Now, do we have a deviation to the downside? Remember, we went a full $9,000 and $8,000 outside of that range that we were trading in. That would look like Bitcoin coming down to around 81,000. So we could see that. I do still expect the 200 EMA on the daily to get hit. So I do think we can still come down to 85,700. I'll move that line up every day as we go. Now, the further danger to the downside, so what are we looking at here? This to hold, 88,300 to hold. And then if we don't hold that, this 200 EMA on the daily, that's going to come in. And then we have more problems to the downside if you're not shorting the market. And if you're part of the Discord, then you're learning how to short the market and make money on the way down, okay? Lots of people yesterday made money on the way down by shorting the market. Make sure you sign up for the Discord if you want to learn how to do that. And so as you go down further, we've got this $83,000 level, and there's 81,785. So here I would expect, I'd like to see the bottom in for Bitcoin. If we lose this level here, we could lose this level here and still be in a bull market for Bitcoin. I'm not necessarily saying altcoins, but really the big one down here is the 50 EMA on the weekly, currently down around about, looks like to be just around this Fibonacci at about 76,000. So that would really be my line in the sand of Bitcoin. But remember, Bitcoin did drop from 65 to 28, had a big correction in April, May. And so this is what we're seeing here. We could say, okay, is this January come late? Usually we see a really big correction in January of 30, 35%. We didn't see that deep of a correction. We did have a correction, but then we did have that bounce to 109. And then, or is this the April, May correction come a little bit early? The market makers keep everybody off guard. Or is this just a little bit of an anomaly with, the tariff spending, the meme coin casino money being pulled out from a lot of scammers coming into the place? Is it the market makers who have pulled so much liquidity out of the market by liquidating the over leveraged longs and shorts? And then of course we have the ETF buyers taking capital. It could just be a perfect storm, and those all things coming together in this moment at this time. I don't necessarily think the bloodbath is over. Now look, if we can get that, what is going to be my invalidation? My invalidation of this, of course, is going to be Bitcoin getting back up above. There's got to be an invalidation, getting back into the range, into that 90,800 to get back. Even above 90,000 is going to be good, above this Fibonacci level here of 89,225. But getting above that 90,000 range, getting back into the range, that's going to invalidate, at least for a time, this area here. Obviously, we could see a dead cat bounce. I would want to see a nice weekly close, a couple of 3-day closes. I want to see what Bitcoin closes like on the month. I want to see what it closes on the weekly. I want to see some 3-day closes in there as well. Obviously, a daily close back into the range would be helpful. And this could just be an anomaly there with a perfect storm of those things coming together. Let's look at the yellow brick road, because we're going to follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And so here we have it. 24 doesn't really tell us a whole lot. Let's jump to the 24. You can see there's, this is the problem, because we go into these big dips and then the high stakes gamblers, leverage gamblers come in with these highly leveraged longs, and the market makers will just come down and say, no, you don't, and come down and get it again. So we got some problems down there at 86. There, look, there is some liquidity above that we saw there, and look, as we move to the 48 period, there is a lot of liquidity to the upside. There is some here to the downside. If I'm the market maker, I'm probably coming down to get that liquidity before going up and getting all this liquidity above. And look, it would put us back into the range, for example. How long they're going to take to do that. There is some nerves on the 6-month time frame. We're going to get to it. If you go to the 3-day time frame, obviously, if we keep going through the time frames, the liquidity looks higher and brighter to the upside, and this is true. Even if you go out to the monthly time frame, lots of liquidity to the upside. But if you go down the 6-month time frame, I don't want to scare anybody here, but I'm going to. You can see down there 81, 3 billion, 2 billion, 1 billion, 3 billion at 74. And I'm not saying we're coming down to 64, but 3.99 billion. It's definitely a possibility we come down and sweep all that liquidity. And this is what I'm talking about. Be careful about March being redder. When February's been red, March has been red. And we could have some more deeper correction here. And remember, Bitcoin going from 65 to 28, that's over 50% drop. An over 50% drop from 109 would put us at about 55,000. And I mean, if we come all the way down here, that pretty much wipes out billions and billions and billions of dollars, billions and billions and billions of dollars down to the downside, even down to 57 as we keep going down. And certainly, obviously, I hope that wouldn't happen. Altcoins would be completely annihilated and would be tough. Most of them, I think, would be wiped out and would never come back. There would just be a few that would recover from that kind of carnage. And so be very careful about what altcoins you're in, about what you're investing in. And maybe now is not a time to be in altcoins at all. Everybody has to decide that for themselves, of course, and you can get a lot more education and entertainment regarding that in the Discords there. So make sure that you're part of a crypto community. There's also stocks trading in the Discord. There's options and leaps trading. There's penny stocks. I have a crypto My Crown Traders channel in there as well for the Stocks with Josh Discord. All right, well, as always, until the next episode, or until I see you in the Discord, happy trading.